Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. Now, you may remember a little while ago, did an experiment with pendants, which was one of Daniel Cooper's techniques with washing up liquid, or dish soap as you'd call it in America, and got some really cool effects in pendants. And I just wanted to put it to the test really as to how effective that technique would be in coasters. I wanted to see firstly how far the washing up liquid or dish soap would spread, the circular effect that we got from the washing up liquid, and I'm going to do two of each, I think. So 2 with silicone oil, because again I like playing with silicone oil anyway, and 2 with washing up liquid, and see which one hopefully gives us the better effect. So I'm going to be using my Let's Resin alcohol inks as well. The silicone oil I use, some people have just asked, I got it from Temu and it's just called silicone pouring oil. So in the cup on the right hand side, I'm just going to pour some of that in there. Not going to need a lot of this at all. So that is your silicone oil. Then in the one on the left, I'm just going to add some standard dish soap or washing up liquid, as it were. Again, not going to need a lot of it anyway. It's just literally something to dip your stick into. And that sounds a little bit inappropriate, so apologies for that. And all I've done, I'm using the Apex high gloss finish resin for this from Just For You Online, just because I've got a little bit left in the bottles and I thought it'd be a good way to use them up. So all I've done so far is I've just mixed up just under 6 ounces of resin, put it in the bubble removal machine, and it's come out crystal clear. So when I did the pendants, I realized that pouring it one at a time was more effective than pouring them all at once. So again, I'm going to do the same thing, and we might not get any effects, I don't know. New mold as well, so I'm excited about that. The only thing that I'm a bit worried about with this particular mold, and I got it again off Temu, is these two seem okay for a size for a coaster, but this one especially seems really small. But I don't know. You might have a small shot glass to put on it, or an espresso cup. But I'm going to start off with that one, interestingly, because if I don't get any effect, that way I'm not going to waste the rest of the resin and I can use it in another project. So just literally filling it up, probably 3/4 of the way. I'll say this is going to be interesting for me because I've not used this mold before at all. I would say that's about right. And then it's just going to be a case of having fun. So first thing I'm going to do is get the bubbles out, as always. So there's always a couple that stick. I always like to go around the edges of any mold really to try and dislodge any bubbles, because they're always sticking to those edges. Doesn't matter what you do, you will always find them hidden away in those crevices, sticking to your mold. And if you don't get rid of them now, when it cures, you're going to have a little hole or a bit of your piece that you're not going to like. So I think that is the majority of them. And again, I just use a silicone tool for this because you can be reasonably vigorous. And what you're trying to do is just encourage them from the bottom up to the top so that you can grab your torch, hopefully, and get them. And I think that's the majority of them gone. So just going to wipe off my stick. And then grab my torch and get rid of them. And there's still a couple that just need teasing up to the surface, mainly here. And again, it's just that I don't want bubbles in it. There's nothing worse than if you do get a good effect than having bubbles in your piece. And then I've just spotted one more as well over here. Now with this resin, I know I've got sort of a 30-minute working time, so I'm not overly rushed on time, which is good. You don't want to try this with a fast cure because, again, I don't think you'll have enough time, and fast cure with most techniques that I've tried so far doesn't really work. So here we go. So I'm going to start off with quite a dark colour, I think. So I'm going to go with purple. From, again, just using the Let's Resin alcohol inks. They are quite concentrated, and this one I'm going to just use hopefully washing up liquid, and I just want one drop in the center like that. Now I'm going to go with my washing up liquid, and I'm just going to get a drop of it and put it in the center, and you should see it separate. Literally tiniest drop. There we go. That's now separating. Now I'm going to go in with a completely different colour. So I've got a red nearby, which shouldn't muddy. I'm just going to try and drop that again in the centre like that. And then again into the washing up liquid, not too much, and just putting a dot in that centre, and you can see it separates. So that's two different colours. I'm going to put a drop of white sinker in now, which I'm just using the C Deeper from Let's Resin. This is a slightly diluted version though, so I did dilute it in the last project. So again, just one drop, I think. Just letting it settle for a second. And look, it's starting to create a weird pattern on the outside, which is what I want. So again, maybe 2 drops of this, just because it's watered down, like so. And again, I don't know if this is going to work, guys. I don't know if we're going to get any kind of effect from this or not. But you can just see that striating out now, which is really cool. So again, going to go in with one more bit of washing up liquid, just in the centre. Now, in the last experiment, when I added the washing up liquid after the white sinker is when it started to struggle. So there we go. It is still working, so that's good. And now I'm going to go in with a different colour. I'm going to try and avoid peach red because that's the only colour I've really had problems with when it comes to getting muddying the colours. So I've got an orange. I don't think that'll be too bad. So again, just going to try and get one drop in the centre, like so. As you can see, it's just gradually pushing those rings of colour out. So I'm hoping that we're going to get a really cool effect here. And I don't want it to go all the way to the edge. I want it to stop just before, just to see what happens. And you can see those different colours and even that white sinker. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of peachy where the white sinker is and nowhere else. I've got a cerulean now, so I'm going to put that in as well. And you can see with every drop, it's almost giving you a ring of colour. And I'm intrigued as to what this is going to look like on the other side. And I'm going to try the same again with silicone oil and see which one gives us a better effect. So you can see the washing up liquid, it's just pushing it apart. Starting to struggle a little bit now, I think, because of the amount of colours. So I'm going to go in with a green now, I think. So just a standard green. And you can see every time it spreads out, that circle gets a little bit smaller. There we go, that's pushing it out again. And again, let me know in comments, guys, do you think I'm going to get a cool effect, or do you think I'm just going to get a mess? And then in with that washing up liquid again. And you can just see how it sort of separates that colour. Really cool effect, and I got some really cool effects in the pendants that I did as well. One of them looked a bit like an atomic explosion. So in with I think this is a sapphire blue. Yep. And then in again with that washing up liquid in the centre. And then I think at this point, I'm going to do one more of the sinker white. And what I'm trying to do is push those colours almost all the way out to the edge, if we can do it. I don't know if it will, but you don't know unless you experiment. So I'm just going to keep on adding colour. I'm going to repeat the same ones now, though, because I don't want this to be too much of a mixed piece. So I'm going to add more washing up liquid to the centre again now. Now it's starting to take its time thinking about whether or not it wants to react now. But it is still doing it. You can just see it spreading now, which is great. And now I'm going to repeat the colours that I started with. And again, just look in the centre there. We're getting that. That looks like at the back of an eye to me. That looks a bit like a retina. But there we go. So I'm going to go in with purple again now. And then in with the washing up liquid again. And sorry if you're in America, I know you call it dish soap. In the UK, we call it washing up liquid. And it is having a bit of a cool effect again. So, but if you notice that little circle's getting a little bit smaller each time. So back in with the red. And different colours seem to have a different strength in pushing out. Have noticed that. And then in with the washing up liquid. And sometimes you just got to give it a second before it reacts. But it is pushing it out again now. And then I think I don't want to do too much with this one now, because I really want to just see what that looks like. And then I'm going to put a backing on it. Again, it might be interesting in a minute to experiment and see what would happen if I put some petals in there or something like that. But I'm going to finish it off just with a drop of yellow in the centre, I think, because I always like yellow in the centre. And look, that hole has pretty much closed up now, so it's not going much further than this. So this is probably going to be my last one. But if you look, there's almost 10 different layers of colour now in this. So again, just trying to get the one drop of the yellow in the centre. There we go. And that's it for that one. I'm going to leave that at that because I'm going to put a back on it anyway and see what happens with that. So the next one I'm going to do over here, which is the other small one, is pretty much exactly the same, but I'm going to use the silicone oil rather than the washing up liquid. And I think the silicone oil will give us a different effect, but it will also push it out further. So again, just getting it about 3/4 of the way full, this mould. Like so. And this is going to be really interesting just to see what it cures like. And I'm just tempted to put another dot in that centre. I'm going to do it. And that way, see if it gives us a little clear centre. We'll see. But that's part of the fun of this for me. It's just experimenting with it. So again, just need to go around the edges of that with my silicone tool to get rid of those bubbles. And I've got to remember this time to use the silicone oil rather than the washing up liquid. And I think it will push those colours out a little bit further with the silicone oil. And I'm not sure if we'll get the same effect. So we'll find out. But again, just going to go around the edges. Now, I don't know if it's because it's the first time I've used this mould or if it's just these sort of shaped moulds, but there's a lot of bubbles that are sticking to that side. And it's important to try and get as many of them out as possible so that they don't ruin your finished piece. But I'm loving the look of that first one already. And that is just with the dish soap or the washing up liquid. So Daniel, if you're watching this video, thank you for finding this technique. It's something I'm enjoying playing with. So, probably going to go with some slightly different colours this time. Whatever comes out of the kit. So I'm going to start off with sapphire blue. And again, trying to get it in the centre, just the one drop like that. And I love watching ink spread anyway. That's one of my favourite things with resin and alcohol inks. It's just watching them spread. So I'm going to use the other side of the dipping tool for this and just a drop of silicone oil. And look at that. It spreads it a lot quicker. So that's red, blue, sorry. Next I've got a red here, which is magenta. So I'm going to go in with that. Again, just in that centre. Now you can see, I don't know if you saw that, but it almost slides off the silicone oil before it starts to spread. So you can almost still see where I put that initial dot. So again, it's quite a cool effect. Now it's gone slightly off center here, so I want to try and encourage that in the center again. Now interestingly, it doesn't seem to want to do it this time. Well, that is interesting. The silicone oil doesn't seem to be breaking it up this time. Let me put another drop of colour on, because I actually quite like that effect as it is. Pretty cool. And just see what happens. You can see it drips off that silicone oil and then starts to spread a little bit. But interestingly now, the silicone oil doesn't seem to be spreading it apart, which is really interesting. So what I might have to do is do another drop where I haven't put the silicone oil and see what happens then, because it seems to have stopped spreading. Interestingly, I'm going to put an orange there, and again just a drop of the silicone oil in the center, and it is spreading it but not as fast. So this is definitely going to give me a different results from last time. Doesn't matter how much silicone oil I'm putting in there, it doesn't seem to be having an effect. So with that one, I'm just going to put a couple more colours in just to see what happens. I do like the ring that the silicone oil caused though, and that pushed that colour all the way out to the edges. So the next one I'm going to try is going to be a combination of the two and see what happens. So I've got a dark magenta as well. So let's just put a drop of that in, and I am probably going to risk a peach red as well in this one. So that's the dark magenta. And again, going to repeat it and just see if... See, it is pushing that out a little bit. And then I'm going to go with the peach red on the other. I don't want to spoil that effect though from that first magenta drop, because that looks so cool. And there we go, that's already having a weird effect. And it seems to break up the peach red okay. So I might just see if I can get two more colours in here that I think will complement this one, and see where we go. So again, it's giving me a slightly different effect. So I've got a blue as well, which is a different colour, but let's go with a turquoise, I think. And again, just one drop there. And again, it's giving us an effect, but it wasn't what I was going for. And I think that's pretty much there. Now there's some really interesting patterns, especially on that peach red and the magenta, so I might use that to my advantage in a minute. But I am going to continue with this because it is really interesting. What I'm going to try and do is do the washing up liquid in this one, but I'm going to do the silicone oil first, so that hopefully I get a couple of layers going out to that edge. And what I'm going to do is 2 drops of colour on top of each other, again just to experiment and see what happens if I do that. And the plan is with this one is the first drop's going to be the silicone oil, just to push those colours out, and then the second drop will be the washing up liquid in the centre is the plan. Now as you know, things don't always go to plan, so again just going to go around these edges, tease all these bubbles out if I can. and get as many out as possible. But that, again, it's a completely different effect, but it is pretty cool. I do like it. I don't know what it is, it's just very different. Perhaps overfilled this one a little bit. But again, we'll see what happens. Okay, so this one, I'm going to start off with a red. So, not magenta because that's slightly pink. Let's try this Sagilite because I think that's quite a deep red. And I'm going to put 2 drops of colour down first on this one, just to give it a bit more depth. And then I'm going to do 1 drop of the silicone oil, just to hopefully push it out all the way to the edge if it does. And you can always see the silicone oil almost stays in place. So that's my red. Next I'm going to go in, hasn't pushed it out as far though this time, although it's still moving, so there's still chance. Next I'm going to go in with orange. And watch this, as I drop it on the silicone oil, it almost slides off. So I'm going to go 2 drops this time again. And then I'm going to go in with the washing up liquid. And see if that still works. Even though the silicone oil's in there. And I don't think it is at this point. Interesting, because I didn't have this with the pendants. Let's put another drop of silicone in. So it's not pushing them aside as much now, but I'm still getting a really cool effect around the edge. So I'm going to persist. Where's my yellow? Let's just put a drop of yellow in there. But it's almost, I think, because that silicone oil puts a layer, and it's a shame because it does push it all out. But yeah, I think this one, I'm just going to go around it with a couple of different reds and see what happens. I do like the orange there. Now that is like an explosion to me. So I'm just going to put a colour on top of that. And then I'm going to go back around this edge a little bit with some of the red that I used, the Sagilite. Where's it gone? In fact, no, I'll use the red just because I've got a plain red as well, which I haven't put in there. Just 1 drop here, 1 drop here, 1 drop. No, leave it at that. And then just using end of my tool again, I'm going to try it again. And look at that, the washing up liquid stopped working. Silicone oil's still pushing it a little bit on those, but not as far. So I think another drop of yellow in those. Oh, that one got 2 drops. And then I'm just going to see what happens, I think, with this one. Maybe give it another touch of silicone. Just to push them out a little bit more, if it will. And I'm going to leave that. Now this one, I'm deliberately going to start again with the washing up liquid. And see what happens. But I'm hopeful here that we're going to get 4 very different effects. Looking at this, I love that one already. So again, just going to go round with my tool, get rid of those bubbles, hopefully. Come on. And I'm going to back these. I think I'm going to back them in like pearlescent white, just because I think that will highlight the effects that we've had, if any. But I think we've got a pretty cool design already. And that's just playing around with alcohol and silicone and washing up liquids. So, and that, do you know what, guys? That is what resin is about. It's just about having fun and seeing if you can create something different, for me, that you haven't seen done before, or a design that you haven't seen before, and just have fun with it, you know? Doesn't all have to be technical. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just about having fun. So what I want to try and do with this one, if it still works, and I'm just going to use the washing up liquid for this one, is try and replicate this and then put some silicone oil in. See if that pushes everything out. But I don't know if it will work or not. That's almost like a foot. A foot on fire. So I'm going to go in with some dark colours again, I think. So let's use a blue in the centre. And then I'm just making sure that I'm wiping this as well every time so that there's no cross-contamination. So that is that. It's quite a light blue actually, that one. So just going into my washing up liquid. And you see it's still working. So that is interesting to see. So that's a blue. Do I keep this one? Let's go in with a lemon yellow, which is a really light yellow. Can have 2 drops of that just because, and look at that, that's really pushing it out, which is good. And then I'm going to go in with the washing up liquid again. It's hard to see if it's actually doing it though at this point because I put the lemon yellow in. I think it's doing something. Then I'm going to go with the Sinker white on this one. Like so, without dipping it in my other one. And again, in the centre of that Sinker white, just going to go in with some washing up liquid. And hopefully that will break it up and we can continue the pattern. But again, it seems to be slowing down. It seems to have slowed down now. I've put that Sinker white in, but I'm going to keep on persisting. Sometimes it just needs a little bit of teasing, I think. There we go. It's pushing it out again, which is good. Where's my purplish red? Let's add a drop of purplish red now. Look at that. And washing up liquid again, just in the centre of it. But look at that, it's almost like blood spatter. Which I don't know if that's the effect I was going for, but it's what I'm getting. And then I'm going to go in with a deepish blue again. I've had the light blues in this one, so let's go with a sapphire blue. But look at that. That is so cool. Just let it push that out. And then I'm going to do something a bit strange here. So it might work and it might not. Now I've got those rings of colour. I'm going to go in with one more Sinker white and look at that effect. It's similar to this one. But then I'm going to put a drop of the silicone oil in and see if it pushes everything to the side. So there's that white. And that's what almost creates those rings of colour. And now, as I say, up till now, this has all been washing up liquid. But now I'm going to go in with just 1 drop of silicone oil. And it doesn't actually seem to be pushing it out any faster than the washing up liquid, interestingly. I thought I'd get a really different effect on this one. But what I might try and do with this one is put 1 more colour in and then almost try and draw petals in like we would do a bloom, and just see if those colours still stay separate. So again, I'm almost out of this yellow, but I'm going to use yellow. I'm going to put 4 drops in, and look, it just sits on top of that silicone when you put the silicone oil in. So I might just put 1 more drop of washing up liquid on the top of it to see if that'll encourage it to just move, which it doesn't seem to. 1 more. And look at that, very strange. So in fact, because I'm gonna try and create some petals on this, almost like a flower, I'm just gonna give that a swirl. Now this one's just gone into sort of a blob, so again that one might be interesting to see, but all I'm going to do here is what I'd do on like a standard sort of 3D bloom, and just try and draw some petals through the alcohol ink and see what kind of effect that makes when it cures. But let me know in comments, guys, what do you think's going to happen? Do you think I'm going to get a cool design or a mess? But this is looking actually really cool to me, and it'd be so interesting to see what it cures like. See, that's almost created that petal effect. Now I'm going to pull them out as well. And again, it'd be interesting to see what colours we get off this. And remember, this is just alcohol ink, nothing else, apart from washing up liquid. And I think that's going to give us a really interesting colour. Now this one, to me, has just gone into a blob. So again, I'm going to try and encourage it to spread a bit, just by putting a drop of alcohol oil on. Silicone oil, sorry. Just in the centre of it. Now all those colours have mixed. Just to see if it will push them out at all. And I don't think it will, but I'm going to try. I think I've left it a little bit too long. But this one looks amazing. I just love the way it looks. So what I might try and do with that, it doesn't seem to be doing much, so I'm going to add a couple of drops of Sinker White on top of that silicone oil. Look at that. And it is now deciding to try and push it out a little. And then what I'm going to do is use my stick to just get some swirls of colour from this, because I don't just want to leave it as a blob of colour that's all mixed. Almost looks a bit like an octopus. I have to make sure I give it 8 legs. But again, this is very different. I'm just intrigued as to what these are going to cure like. And that's it, I think. I'm going to leave it at that. I think I'm going to then let these cure, put a pearlescent white on as the back for a change rather than black, and then see what they turn out like. So I'll see you guys at demold. Here we go, guys. Good morning. It is the next day, so I am going to demold these now and see what happens. So start off with this smaller one. and let's see what effect, if any, we've got. It's slightly joined the other one. I slightly overfilled that, so pardon me, I'm going to have to do a bit of trimming up. But I love the back, and all I did there was some metallic silver with some clear and put it on the back. Wow, look at that. Love that one. It's a bit like all of those colours, you can just see the different colours in the middle, and then it goes darker out towards the edge where they've mixed. So that's that one. Next, going to go with the other small one. And again, that seems to have kept the cells in there with that blue edge that pushed out. So yeah, really nice again. And I love the way that silver is just shimmering through in the background. So that is that one. And we'll go to this one, I think, next. And again, the great thing is it's kept the sort of structure of the inks, the way that they separated and created those cells. So again, that one, it's almost like a bloodshot eye at the sides, but yeah, different, very different. And then the last one is this one. Wow. And again, I just love that effect of the alcohol inks. Not quite a bloom, but I suppose it does look a bit like one. And you can just see in the centre where I added that white sinker, and it seems to have created almost a little blobbing effect in the centre. But there we go. Just having some fun with washing up liquid, my alcohol inks, and a bit of silicone oil as well. So let me know in comments, guys, which one's your favourite. And apart from that, do me a favour, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one. Always on my mind all the time.